welcome to Amiga Ireland. I'm Irla.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Luke.
And today we're going to be talking to Luke. We've already interviewed Rob not too long ago. And Luke and Rob were among the first people I met when I was getting back into the Amiga world myself. You can check out the interview with Rob on amigausers.ie/listen. And today we're going to talk to Luke, who he's very involved with the current trends in classic Amiga too, and has some interesting insights and things. So hello Luke, you're on the other side of the table today.
Oh, that's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Hello.
Good.
This is going to be exciting, I think.
Yeah. To be honest, there's a lot of questions I've always wanted to ask you, but because we're always kind of pushed for time, we don't even get a whole lot of, just general chatting time sometimes after recording. So I'm looking forward to this myself.
Well, we'll see. We can always extend some of the questions and, fork them.
Cool. Okay, so Luke, tell us about when you first discovered Commodore and Amiga and your introduction to this world.
Well, first, actually, it was Atari, to be honest. That's the funny thing. It was, I think, I think it was 1990, and it was like winter holidays. Mm-hmm. And I've got a friend who lives nearby, and I came the other day to his place and I saw a computer on his desk, and I even didn't know what model was that, and eventually in the end it appeared it was Atari. Later on he actually got C64, and He got me involved into computing, actually. Thank you very much for that, Chris, by the way, if you're listening us. And then at the same time around, there was some sort of a computer saloon, like coin-op machines and all that stuff. Apart from that, there were 4 coin-op machines and guys, Amiga 500. Which was at the time state of the art if it comes to graphics, music, and all that stuff. And that was actually my first contact with Amiga, and I was so astounded with graphics, musics. And I remember my first games that I played. It was Lotus, of course, 1 and 2, Wings of Fury, Battlestar, and RoboCop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I spent a lot of money, playing these games, and then later on, I think about a year later or 2 years later, thanks to my grandmother, who's dead actually, but thanks to her, I got my first C64 in the summer holidays. So with the tape only, the tape deck, mm-hmm. But I'm still so great that she was able to persuade my parents, and she was able to get that machine for us, for me and my brothers.
Very nice. Yeah, you were lucky. I remember the battle I had at home. There was a thing called the Pre-Computer 2000, which was basically just one line of LCD characters it could display, and it had a keyboard attached. And I thought I was getting a Commodore 64. When we got to the shop, this is what my parents had saved up for, so I nearly started crying.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that. Comparing to C64 with great graphics and great music, that was just like a calculator.
Yeah, exactly. But like you, Luke, it came good, so yeah, you must have been really happy.
I was, really, trust me, that was a really, really great experience, I remember. And at the same time, it appeared that a lot of my, neighborhood friends got C64s as well. So we could exchange games, we could exchange experience. Some of the guys started programming in BASIC, and I recall those memories really fondly.
Yeah, it helped a lot when all your friends and everyone around you had the same machine, so you could go and swap games and play multiplayer stuff, and helped,
that's right.
Helped the whole scene, I suppose, and the whole atmosphere around it.
Yeah, that was just truly amazing experience. I was I think I was 11 or 12, but I was really great.
Mm-hmm. So that C64 that you got, was that just a standalone machine, or was it bundled with some games, or what was the pack that you got?
That was a standalone machine, and I remember that I got a Final 3 cartridge for that as well. and 2 joysticks, very cheap ones, very, very, very cheesy, and the construction was really and design was really, really bad, so I think they died after a month. and a tape deck. And you have to remember one thing, that at that time in Poland there was no copyright law. So copying pirated games in Poland at that time, it was like an ordinary thing, and no one ever thought about copying pirated games. So it was just flourishing, and everyone was buying all sorts of games that were hugely cracked, and they were so cheap. You had a tape with so many games on it, and it was really cheap.
And we'll get to games in a minute, but what software, what applications did you first use?
Of course, games. That was just games and the basics, basic 2.0. I really wanted to start programming at first, and I remember copying some listings from the Commodore 64 manual book. So that was, I think, the first thing, and then Voice Tracker for O. I don't know if you know that. That's a really, really good music program. It's Polish, and it's called Voice Tracker 4.0 and Art Studio. Yeah, these two. Of course, both of them were cracked, pirated, but I recall them very fondly as well.
And on the games front, what was your favorite? What was your favorite game on the at the time?
If it comes to that, then for C64 it was Elite. Elite was my favorite game, and Revs as well. Yeah, Verme. That's a German game. It's an economic strategy game, and I didn't speak German at all, but I wanted to play this game really, really much, so I had to sit in front of my computer with a Polish-German dictionary, which helped actually a lot later on, because at that time at primary school they only taught us German and Russian, so that helped a bit as well. And that game, by the way, that game is available also on Amiga. I don't know if there's an actually English version of that game, but I'm pretty sure there's a German version for Amiga as well. Because I've a couple of years ago, I downloaded that game actually and played on my Amiga as well. So these were the games, and I really enjoyed at some point. Gianna Sisters. Played a lot. Everyone in the neighborhood played a lot if it comes to that game. And Ace 1 and Ace 2, in particular Ace 2 as well, because there was a head-to-head option. That
was the flight simulator.
Yeah.
I love that as well. Yeah.
With great music, I think from Rob Hubbard. And I played that a lot with my brothers, because I've got 3 younger brothers, so we played a lot. So it was great. Then later on, I think we played as well when we borrowed floppy drive. We played Crazy Cars and Lotus on C64.
Very good.
And so, at what point then did you get into the demo scene? Because I know you're well into the demo scene and on top of releases and things like that at the moment.
Oh yes, I like demo scene a lot. There was a magazine back in the day in Poland. It was released. It had been actually released between 1992 and 1995, and when you've got either Commodore or Amiga, which were at that time the most popular computers in Poland. I think Atari's the little one was popular as well. But I think the computer scene back in the day in Poland was hugely dominated by either Commodore 64 or Amiga. There was this magazine called simply Commodore and Amiga, and I started reading about demo scene around, I think, end of 93, beginning of 94. and I started reading about these pictures, demo scene, music, graphics, and all that stuff. People involved, swappers, modern traders, and all that stuff. And I really wanted to be a part of that, But I was only, I think, like 13, 14, and had limited abilities and not a lot of time at the same time, actually, because my parents sent me also to music school, so didn't have enough time for that. But I was really enchanted with all the demo scene and all that stuff and all the things that were involved in creative actually parts of Commodore and Amiga scene. And believe me, at that time, the scene in Poland was very, very lively and vivid.
So when did your involvement with the Helm Amiga Legion start?
The thing is, around I think 98 or 97, when the Commodore and the Amiga scene started to die out, I moved on from Commodore and Amiga to PC, and I had a gap. So I got back into being an Amigan around, I think, 2005, and I got immediately in touch with some guys in my hometown, which is home actually, and we had a meeting. I think it was February 2006, and we had a meeting in a pub, and we started discussing and debating, the future of what we actually can do, and we decided to start a group with Darek Taurus and Jerzy Draco, and we just thought it would be nice to have a party. At that time there was maybe one or maybe two parties in Poland during the whole year. So we thought, let's do it. Let's try it. We've got a good place. We've got a a befriended pub. The staff knows us. We know the staff. So we decided that let's give us a month or two, and we will start a party, and we called it Ami Party, just like that. And I think the first party was either end of March or beginning of April 2006. So this is how it all started, and I think the name Helm Amiga Legion was invented during one of the competitions. I think we had a competition, for the name of our group, and I think a guy called Resident come up with a name, and he won, and we really enjoyed that. Helm Amiga Legion. You look at the acronym HAL. Yeah, so we really enjoyed that. Therefore, this name stayed with us.
And what was the first party like?
Oh, it was huge. It was really huge. It lasted. I think we already started with a 3-day party. Yeah, it started on Friday evening, or late afternoon, and lasted till early Sunday, or nearly early afternoon on Sunday. It was huge. We had so many people, locals and people coming from Poland as well. And there was, a concert as well. And we had to bring in some of the chairs and tables from outside inside the room, because there were so many people, and so many people came with their own computers, not only Commodores and Amigas, but also at that time G3 and G4 Macintoshes, because that was something different.
That's a good start.
Yeah, very good one. We were so surprised, and the atmosphere was so great. We don't have any videos, but I'm pretty sure we've got some pictures of that party. And I remember we were we were really surprised and we were really happy that it was a huge success, that we immediately set up a date for the second one, and I think it was the end of August 2006.
So nowadays, how often do actual meetups happen in Poland? Is it a very common thing, or is it sort of once or twice a year, or what way does it work?
The thing is, Polish Amiga community is very vivid, very, very, very lively, and as far as I remember, there's a party in Poland even every month. Or some sort of a retro Amiga meeting or Commodore meeting. It's just like every month, and sometimes it even happens that there are 2 or 3 parties during the summer in different parts of Poland. Yeah. And there's one, for example, in the middle of the month, one at the beginning of the month, and one at the end of the month. So it's just everything for everyone. If you don't wanna come to this party, you can go, a month or 2 months later to a different party, and it's just like that. It's very rich if it comes to that.
And what's the Polish Amiga community like? I mean, I've seen kind of other groups. There's I know there's at least one magazine coming out of Poland. There are some demo parties as well that happen. What's going on in there?
The Polish Amiga community, in my opinion, is just like I said before, very vivid. They are very lively, and some people are strictly interested in demo scene only. And they only go to, for example, to demo scene parties, and they are not interested in, hardware side or software side. They are purely interested in demo scene. On the other hand, there's a group of people who are mainly interested in hardware, producing it, tinkering with the hardware, designing hardware, manufacturing it, and doing all that stuff. And there's another group that's interested in software only. Can you imagine that? There is a huge group of people who are, for example, involved in MorphOS development. Most of them are Poles, and they've done a great job if it comes to that. There aren't, for example, strictly NG parties. The parties are mainly, Amiga-like or retro in general, but there are parties from 20 people to parties who are for example, nearly 500 people. There's a party Loadera in Gdańsk. Retro Comp Loadera in Gdańsk. It's a retro party combined with a demo scene party, or for example Pixel Heaven in Warsaw, capital city, and it's a huge party as well. Apart from that, there are so many parties in different parts of Poland that there's everything for everyone. So there's a huge choice,
Wow. Did you say there are exclusive NG groups?
There are, and in the past there used to be a huge war, for example, between Amiga OS 4 users in Poland and MorphOS users, and blood was, all around the forums and all around the screen. It was a huge. The fight was just huge. I don't know if you, for example, Rob, remember the fights on Amiga World Net. When people were just...
It was everywhere. It was...
It was
the
very,
Red versus
very...
Blue Wars.
Yeah, it was very, very similar in Poland.
Yeah.
It was just huge. The wars were just
Utterly stupid and pointless as well.
Yeah, of course it was, because all that, all those things and all that energy could have been transformed into something productive.
Yeah.
Like apps or other things. So a lot of people left at that time as well. And there are even portals in Poland that are strictly interested in NG stuff only. And there are people who are only involved and only interested in NG stuff as well. So Polish community is pretty huge, I must say. I would say that maybe not 5,000, but maybe 2,000, 3,000 people are involved on a regular basis if it comes to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, it is. Trust me, it is.
Okay, so a lot of people will know you from from your involvement in the Amiga community with when it comes to networking software and just networking in general. But how did you get into that particular area?
The thing is, around 2000, at the end of 2005, I think, or beginning of 2006, I got back into Amiga, and I got back with an Amiga 1200 with a Blizzard PPC and Bevision card. And I wanted to start really high.
Absolutely.
So very high at the time. I'm remembering Amiga from the times of Amiga 500, Amiga 600, or Amiga 1200 with only 4 megabytes of RAM. Blizzard PPC and Bevision was something huge. But I thought it was a good choice, I had read a lot about it, and I thought am I going to manage with that? But I decided to do so, and I don't regret it at all. It was a great start, very difficult at the same time as well, but it was worth it. So the thing was, around 2004, I think I got a broadband connection at home. So I thought it would be really nice to have my Amiga connected as well, So I think I got my first a network card. It was just a wired card on Polish Amiga portal, and this is when it started. I remember I wasn't able to manage with the METCP, but I managed to connect my Amiga with Miami DX. And this is what it started. And then I thought let's just start reading about it. What can I do? What else can I do? And I found Ami GG, a communicator. Then I found Ami FTP and all that sort of apps, networking apps and communicators. And then while browsing AmiNet, I found that it is actually possible to do something more with it, for example, playing games.
Yeah.
So, and then how did you get into actually producing these Wi-Fi cards?
It was again while browsing and looking for information, while browsing AmiNet, I found that it's actually possible to connect your Amiga to a Wi-Fi, And at first it was just only WEP, and at that time I had a PowerBook G4, as far as I remember, the silver one. Very nice machine, by the way. And I was running, as far as I remember, at that time macOS 10.4.11, and I set up a server. A server on my PowerBook, and I thought I'm gonna share some internet connection, just a Wi-Fi one, and I thought why not try and connect my Amiga to that server? And I just quickly started browsing and checking and reading and all that stuff, a lot of that. It was just a lot of reading, really loads. Bought a couple of cards, the Wi-Fi cards. This one was incompatible. This one was just the bus card, because I thought oh my god, that's not the one. Amiga's in a 16-bit slot. So it took me some time, but I think after 6 months I was really ready to actually connect my Amiga 1200 to a Wi-Fi sharing PowerBook, and I did that with WEP, but it was possible, and it was pretty quick at that time, and this is where it all started. Later on, I think the author of Prism driver updated the drivers so that they support WPA2, And again, a lot of reading, browsing Linux forums, and again, reading, checking, and experimenting took me to the point where I was able, to release, very quickly, a flashed card with a WPA2 capabilities, and there you go.
And that's Neil Cafferty, who we were talking to at the
that's right.
Amiga Ireland show, actually.
Yeah, that's
who,
right.
Produces those drivers.
Yeah. And
work.
I think he's also responsible for 3Com drivers as well.
Yeah.
They work really well, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Neil.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Neil.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a lot of the Amiga community very happy with that. So these flashed cards, the WPA capable cards, you mainly sell them on Amiibay, is that right, or do you sell them elsewhere?
Yeah, I sell them on Amiibay. I sell them on EAB, on Facebook groups as well, and I used to sell them on Polish portal, but not anymore. I think Amiibay and EAB and Facebook are quite alright nowadays. If it comes to that, I don't do that on eBay actually, because eBay is a place. Some people call it, actually, I've noticed, like they call it Evil Bay. It's not a very nice. I think eBay is not a very nice place anymore. It used to be some time ago, but like with everything nowadays, it's got commercialized or like too much commercialized. So I don't do it on eBay. Maybe I will, consider it in the future, but not right now. So Amiibay, EAB, and Facebook.
And so at the moment, when you're using your various systems, do you have any particular application that you really enjoy using?
I think the really great one is just Roadshow, TCP/IP stack, and the other one is 1210 PT or PT1210, actually, like the DJing application, when you can turn your Amigas into a turntable console. And I would say, iBrowse is a good one as well. I'd love to have, a fully or better working FTP, faster FTP client as well, but with classic Amigas, I think nowadays it's quite alright as we have what we have, but new applications are always welcomed. So these are the ones.
And have you ever done any beta testing of Amiga software?
Oh yes, I have actually done it recently. Norbert Katz, a Hungarian developer, who's actually the author of the Amiga Cloud Handlers, Google Drive, and Dropbox. We got in touch, at some point, and he asked me to become his beta tester, and I took part in beta testing if it comes to that software. There was one more program that I got involved with if it comes to beta testing, but right now I don't remember the name of it, to be honest, But oh yes, I know, I remember. It was a browser for MorphOS. It was a browser for MorphOS, and because I've got like a pretty powerful Amiga 4000, I was testing that web browser. The name of the web browser is Sputnik.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you remember it as well?
I know it, yeah.
Yeah, so I was beta testing it for MorphOS 1.4.5. Yeah. And I was testing for classic Amiga. At some point it was the best modern web browser. I think it was like 2007, 2008. So it was really good, I must say.
And do you have a favorite demo or mod, Luke?
Oh, that's just a huge question, I must say. Let's start from the end, maybe. Maybe I don't have a favorite mod because there are so many of them, but Akira, the guy who's responsible for PT1210, that turntable application, he, at the same time, he released a pack. He released a pack of different modules, like starting from manual techno through house music, through like electronics and all that stuff. And that pack is just absolutely great if it comes to me. If it comes to that. Apart from that, I've got so many mods that are in demos, and of course in games. I think in games as well. So first that pack, then a lot of games. My favorite demo. Maybe I'll just say if it comes to groups like Ozone, Smoke Bomb. Do you remember that? And very stylish Invitation None by Sonic Click. Sunglasses at Night by Ghost Town, Polish group. Clone by let me have a quick look. Jewel Crew and Shining. And there's one more, Electro Boy Inside by Smoke, with a very disturbing music and disturbing effects. So I could just talk about more, because I really like and enjoy demo scene. It's just for me like some sort of art, like, I don't know, if you get that feeling when you watch a movie which is very stylish, for example, like Blade Runner, or I've recently seen Altered Carbon as well. So yeah, the interior is, for example, and the surroundings is so stylish. It's I get a similar feeling if it comes to that, if it comes to the demo scene.
So what do you think of the Amiga's prospects as a mainstream proposition?
To be honest, that's a very difficult question. At the same time, I would love to, for example, use an Amiga instead of my Lenovo laptop, or my MacBook Pro laptop, or any other a desktop machine. But on the other hand, we just have to face the truth, and I think Amiga's never gonna go back into mainstream. It's gonna be retro, and even now, when there are new machines, thanks to Trevor and thanks to a lot of different people involved, they start from a position when they are underpowered, for example, and lack so many, for example, drivers, that I just don't think the dream is so big. The dream of Amiga becoming mainstream again is so big that it's just, in my opinion, mainly impossible. There's one thing I think: browser is a window to the world. If we have a good browser or modern browser, there's still a chance that Amiga will be used on a daily basis, I think.
Well, that's it. I think the internet is moving in a way, and the web is moving in a way that it's kind of platform agnostic at this stage. So there's a lot of web-based apps, and and the cloud OS kind of concepts like FriendUp and things like that. So yeah, if you had a browser at enough horsepower, it could be a thing. But clearly it wouldn't be a competitor price-wise.
No, it wouldn't be, because it's just a micro market.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And do you have many computers at the moment, Luke?
The thing is, because nowadays I live in England. I live in England, and down here I've got I think some computers, some. So I've got one A1200, I think two A600s, one A500 plus, three C64s, one C1 to 8, and a couple of laptops, Lenovo Linux, my main Linux machine, and MacBook Pro, which is my OS X main machine as well. But I've got a huge collection in Poland as well, including my favorite one, the Amiga 4000 with Cyberstorm PPC and Cybervision graphics card. So
beast of a machine.
Yeah. I think it's really nice, and it cost me a lot. Even at that time, it was just 10 years ago. But it's just a really great machine. So I've got a lot of Amigas, I think. But I still think that I have less than you, Rob, or Stephen Leary. When we talked about that the other day, when he had an interview with him. Yeah. But I have less than you guys.
Actually, just there the other day, they're not actually mine, but there are now something stupid like 18 or 19 Amigas in this apartment, which is crazy. There's one guy who gave me I think 8 or 9 Amigas to do some servicing on, and so they'll be here for a while. I don't think the missus is too happy about it, but
well,
there you go.
That's part of your life. Amiga is just part of your life. That's the thing, and there's nothing we can do about it, and it's part of us.
You try to tell her that after she's tripped over the box for the 20th time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, Amiga is just, it's just, maybe not horrible, but very strong addiction, I think.
Yeah. There are worse things to be addicted to.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
So, what do you make of the NG systems?
I think, it's good that they develop. It's good that we can see some sort of a development if it comes to Amiga S04.1 and MorphOS. And at some point I was really involved in MorphOS thing, especially my classic Amigas, 1200 and 4000. And I was a person who really wanted them to evolve and to develop, but after some time I just found it that the main thing that brings joy and brings a lot of attention to me is just the classic Amigas. So I'm mainly connected with them. I think it's just because when you come back, when you get back to your Amiga, after some time, you're not only buying computer, you're buying your dreams, you're buying your fond memories at the same time. And NG systems, they are very practical, and I agree, and I do like them, but it's just the classic Amiga that brings a lot of joy to me, to be honest. Therefore, I think classic Amigas are going to stay with me, I think, forever.
And what do you think are the prospects for the Amiga web browser on the modern machines to kind of catch up?
Another difficult question, I think. Modern browser is just a must. And just like I said, it's just a window to nowadays, to modern world. And in the past, some people proved that it is actually possible to have a modern browser on Amiga or on MorphOS, and maybe when MorphOS or Amiga OS 4.1 get released, maybe some people from those teams can combine efforts, and then we'll be able to release a modern browser. I think it is very, very important, in my opinion, to have a modern browser. Don't you agree with me, guys?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's a key bit of software.
It's the missing link at this stage, because the Office suite is there now. We've even got Dropbox clients and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
The web browsers there were sorted.
Yeah, I remember when around 10 or 12 years ago, when web pages weren't that demanding, people there was an ongoing debate that we need an office suite. We need an office suite, something like Google Docs now. No one ever thought that at some point Google will create something like Google Docs. So now it's just, in my opinion, like a proper web browser that is able to support Google Docs, support modern websites, support YouTube, support Dropbox, Google Drive, and yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah, there is obviously Odyssey for MorphOS and for OS4, and it is a few years behind the mainstream browsers, but it does actually a reasonably good job with things like Google Docs and Gmail and Facebook. If the machine is running on has the horsepower behind it, because like you say, these sites are super heavy on JavaScript and
pretty demanding.
They gets bogged down, and you sometimes run out of RAM and stuff. But if within those limits, it actually is usable, which is good. But they're always sort of trailing by a few years, so it would be good to see some updates in that area.
I agree with you, absolutely.
Okay, so Luke, other than the networking adapters that you work on, are there any other aspects of the Amiga hardware that you like, or that that you're sort of particularly involved with?
Maybe not on hardware, I think, but software. Maybe software. I really like tinkering, for example, with macOS emulation. For example, Fusion and Shapeshifter. I like doing that a lot, and I like tinkering with all those emulators. Apart from that, I like tinkering with startup sequence and user startup and adding all the patches and experimenting with them. I'm more of a tinkerer if it comes to software. I'm not very good if it comes to hardware things. And however, I've recently got myself very cheap soldering station, because I've never had the opportunity to learn how to solder. It's still in a box, and I haven't checked it yet due to a lack of time. But I really love to learn how to solder. Can you imagine that I've never soldered anything? So
I can't imagine that.
So that's some sort of a thing that I'd like to do in the future, like try with some sort of maybe simple soldering, and then maybe recap an Amiga too. We'll see.
Yeah, but it's something that's very satisfying, and you actually make something that works. And even if it's something simple like a 4-player joystick adapter, or just sort of a null modem cable, and you've put it together yourself and it works, it's kind of cool. I can make stuff.
It's the same thing for me if it comes to software, when I can tinker with my Amiga, and I can see some results. Like, for example, it works better. It's it's faster. Or for example, if you upgrade something, if it comes to software, like for example, icon library on your Workbench library, and you can see the result that it's the icons are appearing faster on the desktop, for example. So that's a very similar thing as well. So I look forward to that, to be honest. And
on the networking side of things, do you think there's a gap anywhere that you'd like to see developers fill? Something that might be lacking?
Actually, RSS app would be really great, especially if it comes to classic Amiga, because I'm sure that it would be possible to have a decent RSS client. I know that Amiga S4's got recently a pretty nice RSS client. And it would be really nice if it got ported to a classic Amiga, because that's a really nice thing. The other thing is I look forward to Eyebrows 2.5, and maybe something better than Eyebrows 2.5. Maybe like an upgraded version of Eyebrows 2.5. With Vampire 500 and 600, it would be really nice to have a pleasurable browsing experience. And I'm not talking about something like Google Chrome or Firefox, but something better than Eyebrows 2.4. And a Twitter client, we've got a Twitter client. More network games would be nice. I'm pretty sure that it is possible to have some sort of networking game. There's a great clone of Dino Blaster or Bomberman.
Yes.
And it's great fun to play that game. I think we've played that, all of us. Yeah, the other day.
I played it, not with you guys. I played it years ago. All right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played that with Irla and I think one of the guys from the Hungarian scene. So
right.
And the server was German. But it was really great. We had some moments. It was really great. I think there was one more person. I think there was a guy from Norway as well with us playing. So
Dynamite
it was
is
really
the name,
great.
isn't it?
Dynamite, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it runs pretty well even on 020.
Yeah, I remember playing it on my 1200 back in the day, back when I had dial-up internet, and it still worked reasonably well.
Yeah, that's right. So with even like a wired or wireless card, 020, it's just great fun to play this game. So I encourage everyone to have a look if you have time. So more games, maybe a better, more updated FTP client would be nice as well. I know that again, MorphOS and OS4, they've got like pretty modern FTP clients as well. And there was one more thing that I wanted to add about that application. Not SMB. I just forgot about it at the time. No, just like that thought. The name of the thing just ran away from me. Okay. Anyway, it'll come back probably. Right.
Okay. Now I think I probably know the answer to this one, but do you think having children changes things in terms of the amount of time you have to spend with your Amigas and involved with the community?
I think it changes a lot, and you know that as well.
Yeah.
That was, for example, for me, one of the reasons that I couldn't be at second Amiga Ireland meetup. That was one of the reasons, and that was one of the reasons as well that I didn't go to Ami Party, and we won't actually be going to Ami Party during the summer in Poland in August, and that's the thing. However, I think that when my daughter gets a bit, like older, maybe like 2 or 3 years old, I'll be able to attend a lot more, like parties, and I think I'll be attending a lot of different parties all around Europe, actually. Because if not now, then when? When I'm 60, 70? Yeah. That's
all the
thing.
machines have stopped working.
Yeah. There will be FPGA emulation, or like.
This is true.
Yeah, or something like that. But still, not the same thing. So, and I know a lot of guys who have children, and they, at first they didn't have time to go anywhere. But that's the first thing, That's the thing that happens when you have a child. You have to spend some time with your family and your relatives. But then later on, they just visit nearly every party or every retro event in Europe. There you go. So it is possible, even though family is time consuming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Luke, our standard finishing question, what's your favourite memory of Amiga and Commodore over your lifetime?
You know what? I think my favourite memory, I think I've got so many of them, but one is when I saw that Amiga and played that Amiga, that in that coin-op saloon, place around 19 or 91, and I was so astounded with the graphics and music and everything that was involved with Amiga. The other thing is when we actually did our first two, Ami Parties back in Poland back in 2006. These memories will stay for me for a long time, I think. And I just recall them really, really fondly. It's just something that well, you've gone through that as well. You know, you've been organising parties as well. So that was just a really, you know, like a huge thing, huge positive, you know, like a emotion that comes to you. That all these people come from different parts of the country to cherish something which is just so simple and at the same time so huge. Amiga, our Amigas.
Lovely. Very nice. Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah, you know that feeling as well. I'm pretty sure both of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Lucas Kucharuk, thanks so much for joining us. You can find Sir Lucas on Amibay and get your Amiga networked with some Wi-Fi or some Ethernet, whatever is your preference, and Luke will definitely take care of you. So,
thanks very much, Luke.
Yeah, thanks, Luke.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, and to everybody listening, bye for now. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks and bye.
See you later.